there, I'm Ladianne at WoolTribe Studio, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about drop spindles. If you're a knitter or a crocheter and you've ever been to a fiber festival or looked at anything online about yarn, at some point you've seen something about spinning. And if you've seen something about spinning, you've probably seen some stuff about using drop spindles for making yarn. So if you're curious about drop spindles, I just want to show you a little bit about the spindles I have and share my thoughts with you about what you might want to start with if you want to learn to use any kind of drop spindle for making your yarn. So this is a collection of not all of my drop spindles, but quite a few of them. I want to start out with these four here. So let's take a look at these. These all have hooks on the top, and this part of the spindle is called the whirl. These are a top whirl spindle. However, that means that it's going to hang this way. It'll hang from the top here. However, if you see a spindle that has a line on the bottom, which some of these do, a little like a little indentation, you can use them in reverse as a bottom whirl spindle. I don't enjoy doing that, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. So each of these spindles has a different weight. The heavier the spindle, the thicker the yarn you're going to make. So I use a spindle like this that's really lightweight for making really thin yarn. I don't even remember what this fiber is that's on here. It was on there from a long time ago, but it's fairly thin, has a fairly tight twist. So I could leave it on there as my leader. A leader is a piece of yarn that you put on there to allow you to get started with fiber when you're going to be making yarn. So those are my top whirl spindles there. Next, I have a zodal. This is a Basque spindle from the Basque region. When you load the yarn onto this spindle, you're actually going to load it in kind of a crosswise pattern. When you're ready to use the yarn afterward, you could, in theory, wind it off into a ball. You could put this in something and pull the yarn off of it. I'll be honest with you, I absolutely adore this spindle. I hardly ever use it though. The reason I love it is I got it from a woodworker. I actually found on Etsy, Muddy Duck Workshop, and I just think it's really cool, but I don't use it that often. I also think it's really cool that the head of the thing was put together with a tiny little pin. So I appreciate the craftsmanship on it, but it's not my go-to spindle. The next one is a Snyder spindle. If you've been to a fiber festival, I know you've seen Snyder spindles. I love this thing. I love it. When you spin with this, you actually wind on the yarn in that kind of God's eye pattern. And then when you're done, you take out the spindle itself, and then you remove the arms, the cross arms, and what you're left with is the little thing that I call a turtle, but it looks like a little ball of yarn that the top has kind of a God's eye pattern on it. This is really fun to spin with. It's great if I'm going to be spinning in a place where I won't be able to stand up to spin. This is probably my second most favored go-to choice for a spindle. I just think it's really cool, and when you wind on the God's eye pattern, it is beautiful. I'll have to show you in another video. And then this one, I'm not going to pronounce this right, and for anybody who knows, I apologize in advance, but a Jelligan or a Jaligan, this is a Scottish spindle. I am not good at using this spindle. I have not practiced a lot. I think it's really cool. I also got this one, I believe, from Muddy Duck, but I haven't used it much. So this is definitely not a go-to. Now, if I go back to my top whirl spindle, so that's my go-to. Let's look at these. I'm actually going to put them in order of their weight. So that would be like this. Okay, so these 4 spindles are fantastic, but for different reasons. You can see on these, I've actually marked, made marks on them. This is the first drop spindle I ever got. I have made marks in 1-inch increments so I can check the wraps as I go. I know writing on your spindle makes people cringe, but it was helpful to me. I also have added a washer and a little rubber stitch marker on the top of that, you can see. And the reason is I want my spinning to be consistent. So until I have added a chunk of yarn here, and that chunk of yarn is called a cop, until I've added a fairly decent size cop, the spindle's really lightweight. So I want to compensate for that at the beginning by putting a washer on like this. This one, my father-in-law actually made. I love it. I taught him how to spin and he made this spindle. It's pretty heavy because of this whirl, but I did mark it off here. It's a great spindle. It works well, and importantly, it's very well balanced. When you go to buy a top whirl spindle like this, check to make sure that the dowel is in there straight and it spins evenly. It doesn't have wobble. Any wobble is going to slow down your spinning. It won't spin as long. It just it takes away the energy of the spin. This one actually does have a little wobble to it. I got this one from Shacked, but I still like it because it's super lightweight, and that means I can spin pretty lightweight yarns on it. I do have a much smaller one than this from them that I use for lace weight yarn. And this one, the biggest one, I got this from Kromsky. This is a great spindle for plying because you have plenty of space on here to build a really big cop. So if you are making, say, a 2-ply yarn, there's plenty of room to work with it here. So here's the thing. I'm going to pull out 2 that I would get if I were you as a beginner and then move on to the other ones. I would get 2 kind of like this if I were you. So a medium weight top whirl and then a larger top whirl. The reason is I would go with a top whirl. The reason I'd go with a top whirl is that once you get really proficient, you'll want to spin faster. And with a top whirl, you can actually roll the spindle off your thigh and get more speed on the spindle. So that would be my choice for you if I were you. So that's it. If you get curious about spinning and you want to know more, or if you're thinking of getting a spindle and you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. And if you're curious about spinning, getting a drop spindle won't set you back much money, so it's a great way to just try out spinning and see what you think about it. I don't know, it's a nice break from knitting sometimes. So that's it. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments below, and definitely like and follow. I'd love to share more information with you, and if you have any questions I can answer for you or other videos you want to see, just let me know. Okay, thanks so much. Have a good one.